Hello Pisces and welcome to your reading. This is Bright Soul Collective Tarot. My name is Laura and these will be your intuitive insights and advice for the month of June 2022. So this reading will be for Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Rising. And by all means, if you know your Sun, Moon, and Rising sign, feel free to check out any and all of the readings that apply, as each of them may resonate differently for you. I know most people focus on their sun sign, but you might be surprised to see that there are messages for you from your sun and moon, or your moon and rising sign as well. And as always, do keep in mind, these readings are general in nature. They are meant to apply to a number of individuals and a more broad collective. So not all of the details that come through will necessarily be for you. That's why I highly recommend you take anything and everything that does resonate, however it makes sense for you, whatever that brings up for you. Keep an open mind to anything that might be helpful and simply leave the rest. So Pisces, I hope you're doing well. I hope May was good to you. I am super excited to pull some cards and get a look at June and what kind of energy you might have to contend with. I also can't believe it's already June. That means I've been reading cards for you guys for 6 months now, so it's already been half a year. So I just wanted to say, whether this is your first time here or whether you're returning, thank you for being here, for sharing this time and space with me. It's something that I really enjoy being able to do for you, and I'm looking forward to continuing to read your cards. So yeah, thanks for being here. I can't believe it's been that long already. But yes, so anyways, I've got your oracle cards here. We will pull you tarot and so on. And as usual, I will begin with your channeled impressions and messages. So this is kind of what I picked up on when I was preparing for your reading and before I got any cards out. So as usual, we'll start with that. And yeah, hopefully we can get you some good messages, encouraging messages to help you feel empowered to make the absolute very best of this month. So Pisces, let's get started. In terms of the energies that I was picking up on, I just want to say, I feel like you might be being called out gently. Like it's in a very positive way, but I think maybe there are some things that have been going on under the surface that are starting to come to light, or maybe it's time for those things to be kind of like worked through and released. Because very much the sense that I was picking up on, the general vibe was like feeling unsure of yourself, lacking confidence. And I don't mean lacking confidence in terms of like charisma or, being able to relate to people or friends. It's more like feeling as though you need comfort in like the validation of other people in terms of like who you can be, how you can express yourself, what you're allowed to say and do, where you're allowed to go. Like, so it's kind of like not necessarily feeling as though you're following your heart, but more looking for confirmation from other people that your behavior is acceptable, your friends are acceptable, your job is acceptable, your finances, all that kind of stuff. So it kind of gives me this preoccupation with what other people think of you, what other people do, what other people think is right. And it doesn't even have to be in like a really negative way, but I just kind of feel like it might be something that's hanging over you, especially if what you're wanting to do is to feel a little bit more engaged with your own life. It could just be like needing to give yourself permission to kind of like step out of, of other people kind of giving you the okay. And like that's very much the sense that I got, is it's like you almost need permission. It needs to be validated. You need permission to do something. And I think what I would say in that sense is like you have permission to be yourself. You don't need permission from anyone else. Right? So it's like, maybe keep in mind anything that you're worried about, like what other people might think, what other people might say, how they might react, and recognize that like that shouldn't be keeping you from your true self, right? And the other thing is, I also felt like a knot in my stomach. And it was really interesting because it was like, as I was connecting to your energy, and I was like, like, is that anxiety? Am I anxious? Is it like a pit in my stomach, or am I just hungry? Right? And so it's like, you could be experiencing that kind of stuff. And to be fair, it could be both. But I got the sense that perhaps like on an intuitive level, your body is trying to kind of get your attention and send you the most like basic physical signs of like stress or disease. This could be like health issues as well. And that could be trying to get your attention and turn your attention inward to like your inner landscape, any kind of like emotional healing that might need to be done. And you might have a tendency to just kind of like logic or explain it away as something not related to like your emotional or like mental well-being. So I would say just like pay attention to any physical cues that you've got, and don't be too quick to write them off, because it could be that there's something under the surface there on a deeper level that needs some attention. And the other sense that I got, it almost felt like a panic, like feeling a little bit claustrophobic, feeling confined, limited, smothered, like it's almost like being trapped in a space that's too small for you or that you don't belong in, and like not knowing if you can find a way out, right? So it's like this kind of like condensed, uncomfortable, panicked feeling that just makes you want to like flee almost, but you can't. So I would keep in mind anything that feels like perhaps you've outgrown it, anything that doesn't leave enough room for you, the person that you are, the person that you want to be, your hopes, your dreams, your goals, the ways that you're changing. So sometimes this can happen in relationships. As we grow and develop, we inevitably change. And sometimes the people around us, whether they be friends, family, or like colleagues, partners, sometimes they're uncomfortable with our change, and they, naturally, for the sake of comfort, want things to stay the same. So I would just be mindful of the ways that you're growing and changing, and anything that's not quite growing with you, or anything that hasn't really allowed you the space to continue stepping into like newer versions of yourself. And, whether that's like going on adventures, having new experiences, starting new hobbies, pursuing a new career, like moving to a different place, right? So yeah, anything that might give you that confined feeling where you start to feel a little bit panicked. If you resonate with that, I think there's probably a little bit more exploration and reflection to be done as to how you can start to overcome that and how you can start to create more room. So if it's something that you are doing to yourself or you're agreeing to, you may be playing a role in your own captivity to say the least. But yes, and then what I would also say in terms of this like feeling confined is that it might be easy to associate it with other people. So like other people keeping you stuck, other people putting expectations on you or keeping you confined, putting you in a box. And that might go hand in hand with the need to kind of like be validated by other people, and a fear of really being true to yourself and just doing what you want to do, like a fear of rejection. And it's like, you may think that it's other people doing it to you, but the only reason that they can do it to you is because you agree to. So ultimately you have the power. It's your perception. It's your belief. It's what you decide to agree to. So other people may be the ones kind of triggering you, but they can only do so, and they can only keep you there if you agree to be kept there. So it's your decision in the end. You can always make a change. And yeah, there might be some stuff to kind of work through in terms of like a fear of rejection, a fear of abandonment. So it's basically you have the power to change the situation for yourself. So anytime that you happen to feel that kind of restricted, panicked feeling, just know that it is absolutely within your means to change that for the better, and to move in the opposite direction. So it's paying attention to anything that feels loving and whole and expansive and light, like that makes you feel like you're connecting with freedom. That will give you some cues as to the direction that you can move in. Okay, sorry, that's a lot. It's a lot to process. So in terms of your channeled messages, the first one that came through was forgiveness and projection. And so it's recognizing like forgiveness is one of the most loving things that we can do, whether for ourselves or for other people. Sometimes in life we have to forgive people who don't ever apologize. And that is really just at its most basic level for our well-being. And so it's acknowledging also like self-forgiveness is the absolute first step. So you kind of have to be able to love and accept and forgive yourself for any misgivings, anything that you feel as though you've done wrong or you can do better, anything that has been ingrained in you that you're holding on to or punishing yourself with. It's like being willing to work through that and recognize that you can give yourself the freedom of forgiveness, and it becomes a whole lot easier to extend understanding and forgiveness to other people as well. And so for that to come up with projection, anything that you haven't forgiven yourself for, you might be projecting that onto other people and either judging or limiting them in that kind of arena based on whatever that topic or experience is, or you may be projecting a sense of not being forgiven or not being worthy of forgiveness. So you might think that people like don't like you, or they don't forgive you, or they're reacting negatively to you because that's the opinion you have of yourself. So yeah, there's a lot of power. And especially if you've got issues around forgiveness, I would say the best thing is just to focus on yourself and extending that to yourself first. And once you believe that you deserve it, that will stop kind of showing up in your relationships. It won't interfere with your ability to interact with other people as much. The second channeled message that came through was everyone will hate me. And I don't know. It made me sad. But I think as a recovering people pleaser, it's something that I'm very familiar with myself, that kind of energy. So if that resonates for you, it kind of gave me the impression of like I said, a fear of being rejected, a fear of being abandoned, a fear of being not good enough or deemed unacceptable, doing something that other people don't agree with and having them write you off or distance themselves from you, like being disowned. And so, especially if this is a fear for you and it's motivating you to seek approval or to try and like limit yourself to stay within the confines of what other people find to be acceptable, if you truly feel like following your own path and expressing the most authentic version of yourself and doing the things that make sense to you, that really like, that you feel drawn to, if you feel as though that's going to turn people off or make them hate you, then are they really your friends in the first place? Right? Because like a true ride or die likes you for who you are, not who you pretend to be, nothing that you project. And even as you grow and change, even if you change your mind, right? The people who are truly connected to you and concerned about your well-being are going to support you, right? And if there are people that you're afraid of losing, first off, by stepping into your authenticity, you might be surprised by who stays, right? And who is there to support you. And you might also be equally surprised by who leaves, right? So it's like you can't predict, right? But at the same time, it's recognizing that the people who are going to walk away are simply people that you're not meant to be aligned with in the first place, right? And so it might be a difficult kind of pill to swallow, and it might be a difficult loss to process if you're moving away from people. But ultimately, if your goal is to live a more heart-centered life that feels more fulfilled and aligned, it's like, and you want to be connecting with people that you have, you know, the opportunity to have real kind of meaningful and solid loyal connections with, it's like you kind of have to let go of the people who are just extras, right? Especially the people that you need to behave a certain way around in order to be acceptable. So I would say, yeah, anyone who's fickle isn't really your friend. And by stepping into your authenticity, you're just basically kind of like drawing the line and knowing that whoever stays has your back, or is at least willing to grow with you, and whoever leaves is not meant to be a part of your journey. And perhaps you're not ready to draw that line in the sand quite yet. But I would say, like, don't hold yourself back for fear of being rejected, because rejection is divine protection. And once you kind of clear that excess baggage that's not meant to be there out of your life, you have a lot of space and open arms to welcome like the right people and the right situations with, and they will make themselves known if you're open. So I think that's really important for you guys to know. And the next message that came through was something special, and the sense of searching for something special. So it could be like searching for your place in the world, searching for your special purpose or your gift, what you have to offer, searching for a special experience that's going to help, you know, bring you to a new level of clarity or understanding about who you are. It could be, you know, someone special. It could be, you know, a child, like a significant other. It could be anything, but yeah, it's basically like searching for something special and remembering that everything that is good is within you already, right? And so to resist any temptation to look outside of yourself to connect with something special or something that makes you feel special, and to recognize that it's already a part of you, it's already ingrained in you. And it's just about dropping into your awareness and learning about yourself and accepting who you are, allowing yourself to express that, and then that same kind of specialness will be kind of drawn to you in the physical world as well. So it's kind of like it all starts with you, so don't forget. And then the next channeled message was greatness takes courage. And this definitely came through in terms of like accomplishing anything big or challenging. This could be in relation to work, a big project. It could be like goals in terms of savings, travel, house, like whatever it is that's most important to you, however you define greatness, you know, whatever that means to you, that it takes courage to pursue it. It takes courage to put in the work. It takes courage to say, I have a dream and I'm going to go after it. And it takes courage to get back up after any kind of, you know, anything that has knocked you down, and to continue beyond any roadblocks and not become discouraged. And so it takes confidence in yourself to know that you're able to achieve whatever it is that you're setting out to, and that you can kind of weather whatever storms come your way. And so I would say like your greatest strength is your authenticity, embracing yourself as you are, following your heart, doing what feels right to you. So it's not about strategy. It's not about strategy and aligning yourself with the right people and saying and doing the right things. It's like your courage comes from your authenticity, and that is what helps you to connect with your own greatness. So yeah, it's very much the theme is like it's all within you, right? So just not to doubt that. The next channel message was forceful appreciation, or like forced appreciation. So this could be coming from like people around you. So like maybe like your partner, maybe a parent, maybe a friend or group of friends, or like co-workers or an employer. There could be certain values, certain things that you are expected to enjoy and appreciate that really like may not resonate with you at all, or may actually like, you might be like, no, actually that's not how I feel. And it's kind of like being expected to just go along with something, and not only that, but like actively appreciate something that you just don't necessarily see the value in, or that you don't align with. So it could be coming from outside, like a sense of needing to, or like being obligated. Or it could be something that like you feel that you're only appreciated by the people around you when you like make noise, and you have to kind of like force them to. I would say like however this, and it could be something different entirely, but however that might resonate for you, I would just say that like obviously anything that you have to be forced to do, or you have to force somebody else to do, it's like very clearly not the right thing for anyone. It's out of alignment, and like it also doesn't feel good, right? So it's like people who are trying to force you to be something that you're not, or to appreciate and do something that you don't want to do, even if you appease them, like they're ultimately not going to get what they're looking for, because they've had to push you. And vice versa. If you have to push other people, you're not going to get the connection that you're looking for. So it's just keeping in mind that like, you know, we're all different. We all have different interests, and to honor that. And it's okay to be honest about the things that like maybe aren't for you. And it's actually good for the people around you. and vice versa, for you to be challenged by differences of opinion, right? And not just kind of like follow the expected path. And then the final channeled message was, I don't know why I do this. And immediately what came to mind was like a need for self-reflection. So if there's something that you do that you just can't seem to like overcome, or you don't understand, or you feel kind of like you don't have control over, it could just be something that is ingrained in you. It could be a habitual pattern, but whatever it is that leaves you with that feeling like, I don't know why I do this. I would say pay attention to what it is that triggers that, right? And what that behavior is, what that thing is for you, and try to kind of like maybe do a little bit of reflection and deeper digging and say like, where did this come from? Is this a habit that I learned from somebody? You know, is this something I've done my entire life, or did it develop at a certain point of time after a certain experience? How do I feel when I do it? Is it serving me? Why would I do something that isn't serving me? Or like if I'm getting like positive and negative from it, is like the good outweighing the bad? So it's like kind of take an inventory of what it is that's going on, because if you're looking for answers, those answers are inside of you. It's just you kind of have to take the time out to connect with however you're feeling. And yeah, it's like approaching whatever that is for you, especially if it's a long-standing thing, from a place of curiosity and love, like doing that internal inventory, just kind of seeing where it might take you, asking yourself questions and not beating up on yourself or judging yourself or like having like unrealistic expectations, right? It's just kind of like a gentle inquiry into what that might be for you. Okay, that was a lot. So we'll get into your oracle cards. So funny enough, your first card this month is Star Mother, and it says, how can you mother yourself? So immediately that makes me think of like childhood wounds, mother wounds potentially, maybe even like a reluctance to connect with or embrace or express the divine feminine energy. And your second oracle card is Called, and it says, soul gifts and training, it's time to step up. So yeah, this actually already kind of mirrors exactly what I was saying. So this Star Mother, it's very much about you doing your healing, you feeling loved and supported, feeling like you're fine the way you are and you deserve to do the things that you want to do, right? And that it's within you. And then soul gifts and training, is time to step up. It's like you're the one who is able to take action, right? So it's like you kind of have to deal with the internal stuff that's going on, and get yourself to a point where you can take action in your own life in a way that makes sense for you, right? So for Star Mother, like I said, this could be difficulty with divine feminine energy. So that's like that kind of nurturing, loving, kind, compassionate energy, where you're able to receive people. It's supporting people in a gentle way, caring for and nurturing people, and not just other people, but yourself. So the thing is that how we connect to other people and experiences outside of ourselves is really just a mirror of how we approach ourselves and how we treat ourselves. So the starting point is always going to be you and your relationship to yourself, your thoughts and feelings and beliefs about yourself, who you are, right? Your worth. So this has a lot to do with love. And loving yourself, allowing other people to love you and support you, and not putting an intense amount of pressure on yourself to like carry the weight of the world, right? So it's like if you're somebody who has, high drive, high expectations for yourself, you're constantly kind of doing your best, working really hard, but then you're always measuring yourself up and finding yourself lacking in some way. So it's like if you can never seem to do enough, never seem to be enough, never seem to be successful enough, even if you're achieving your goals, you're not acknowledging that your goals have been achieved and allowing yourself to recognize your abilities, that can be like too much divine masculine, which is like that kind of confident, strong, action-oriented, go-getter, leadership kind of energy. And it's like we need a balance of both, right? And so yeah, if you're kind of stuck in this need to kind of continuously achieve and you're just putting more and more pressure on yourself, it might just be time to take a step back and to treat yourself with a little bit of gentleness, right? How can you nurture yourself? How can you kind of soften your approach to yourself and to others? And like it says, how can you mother yourself? So this can also have to do with childhood wounds, from the way that we were raised, the way that we were spoken to, the things that were ingrained in us as we grew up. It can have to do with a mother wound specifically. So in terms of your relationship to your mother, how you were treated, how you were taught to view yourself and the world around you and others, how much love you learned to approach yourself with, in terms of your self-acceptance, body, mind, and soul. And can also have to do with the things that you feel like you didn't receive from your mother growing up, or things that you did that maybe you're not embodying for yourself now. And so it's recognizing that, especially when it comes to like childhood wounds, childhood trauma, and that kind of stuff, a lot of even just the basic therapy that goes along with working through that kind of energy and trying to heal and clear it has to do with approaching your inner child and recognizing that there's a part of you that is still a child and that needs that mothering, and that even if you didn't receive it from your mother, or even if the interactions that you had from like mother figures or parental figures even growing up was not really conducive to you feeling healthy and happy and whole, that's work that you can do for yourself. And sometimes you need to go back and identify that child version of you is on the inside, and to kind of mother yourself, parent yourself, speak to yourself the way that you would have needed to be spoken to by an adult. Because if you're carrying, that energy and those wounds, you have the power to kind of fix that for yourself in a way. Like, I don't want to oversimplify, but I guess what I'm trying to say is watch your self-talk, the way that you talk about yourself, the way that you think about yourself, your internal dialogue, and just kind of think about, like, is that true or not? Is that the most kind and loving way to approach yourself? Are you giving yourself kindness and compassion? And if you were your own mother, right, would you say that to yourself? Right? And so, in terms of your inner dialogue, if that's something that you're trying to heal because you have a tendency to be harsh or judgmental or, kind of hurtful, and you're not necessarily doing yourself justice, it's when you're allowing that inner dialogue to go, it's kind of observing the language that's being used and what's being projected, and being able to kind of interrupt it. Treat yourself like a child. Talk to yourself like a child. Children are growing and they don't necessarily have the ability or the resources to understand certain things. And there are going to be, challenges that they run into along the way, that we need to treat them with kindness and respect, and we need to kind of help nurture their development instead of berating them for not being enough, right? And it's like we kind of need to continue that approach with ourselves all throughout life, because even though we develop into adults, it doesn't mean that we ever stop learning or growing. And we need that nurturing kind of energy, and to be able to grant ourselves love and kindness and understanding when we're trying to integrate new lessons, when we're trying to kind of figure out what works for us. We can't hold ourselves to such a high standard, because that doesn't coincide with actually being able to learn and having a learner's mindset and being open to change. So this is all about, how can you treat yourself better, right? And if you're having a difficult time working on that self-talk, it's like try to picture that voice inside your head talking to a small innocent child, right? And you might have to censor yourself a little bit, and you might have to learn how to shift the language and the expectations so that you can give yourself a little bit of slack so that you have some room to breathe and to learn. And so for that to come out with called, this is telling me like there's something specifically that you're wanting to do, right? Something that you feel drawn to, something that's important, maybe something that's been on your mind that isn't necessarily something that you feel as though you're allowed to do or that you're allowed to pursue, or maybe it's not yet the time. But it's basically saying whatever it is that you're feeling called to do. It could be a specific hobby. It could be a specific job. It could be going back to school. It could be traveling to a certain place. It could be, a spiritual practice. It could be anything, but you'll know that thing that's calling to you, that thing that you really want to do. It's something that's important to who you are, right? So it's like you came here, your unique soul, you came here with unique gifts to share. And the highest honor that you can do for yourself is basically to allow yourself to express that, to explore that, to connect with your authenticity, to be curious about the people, the places, the things that you are most called to, regardless of whether they make sense to you and regardless of whether it's something that other people will understand, because it's basically like that's your unique path, right? Like, and not that you necessarily know exactly what that path is, but those callings of your soul are kind of like markers to help lead you in the right direction. And the more that you connect and recognize that energy and kind of give yourself the opportunity to lean into it, then the more open you are to connecting with more of those little markers, those little beacons that will eventually help you follow that path for yourself. And the thing is that's difficult is that you don't necessarily know what the path is. You don't necessarily know what the end destination is. And even step by step, you're not going to know multiple steps ahead necessarily. It's kind of something that you have to lean into and to allow to unfold organically. So you can't necessarily have any preconceived notions about how it's going to happen or where it will happen or what the timeline is going to be or who can be involved, right? It kind of requires a newer level of openness and a willingness to connect to whatever that is. So you have gifts, and perhaps you're aware of these gifts, or maybe you're just starting to become curious about what your gifts may be, what your purpose might be, how you might be able to, offer something positive to the world, right? So it's like it could be art, it could be music, it could be physical healing, spiritual healing, it could be, interested in like medicine, it could be traveling, doing charity work, like it could be anything big or small. But yeah, and so it's recognizing that calling is a part of you and it's part of your reason for being here, because not only are you here to learn and grow and develop as a soul, but you are also meant to kind of share those gifts with others, right? And to help others connect with that energy, right? So it's like, why do we love art so much? Because it inspires something positive within us. And if people didn't create and share that art, we wouldn't have the opportunity to benefit from the experience of observing or feeling it. And so it's recognizing that like, no matter how big or small, you have something to share. And if it's something that you're passionate about and that you feel called to do, particularly if it's something that you've been aware of for a while and maybe you haven't been allowing yourself to lean into it, it's basically saying like, this is part of your purpose. And whether you're going to do something big or small with it, you are going to benefit from embracing that and giving that a little bit more space in your life, because it's not just about you. You might say like, well, it's okay. Like I can deal without doing this, whatever your passion is. Or like, it's not the right time. So like maybe in 10 years, once this has happened, then I can do it. But the thing is, it's not just about you, right? Because the sooner that you do it, not only will you benefit and that will change your life and it'll change your path. It'll probably help you heal and work through even more because you're aligning with your authentic self, your inner self. But also there are other people to benefit from it. So it's like, and I don't want, like, that can sound really like pompous, like, oh, I'm here for a reason, and like other people are gonna, you know, it can be like a really self-involved energy, but that's not the vibe. Like, you can be here and you can acknowledge that you have a gift and that that gift can make other people feel great without being pompous and egotistical. So it's knowing that sharing those gifts authentically because you enjoy it lights other people up as well. So if you think that you can do without it, I would say that's a decision to remove yourself from the things that light you up. And I don't know, only you can make that decision for yourself, but it's like other people can benefit too. And so I think it's important to recognize that, you know, while we focus on ourselves and we limit ourselves and we make decisions based on certain criteria, that it's like we also underestimate our value within communities and the impact that we can have on other people. And sometimes having those impacts on other people can bring you into connections with individuals who are more aligned and can really allow you to experience more depth, right? So it's like part of finding, especially if you're looking to connect with people who are maybe more understanding or supportive of like where you're at and what you have to offer, the best way to connect with those people is to start embracing that energy for yourself and to start sharing it, right? Because that, just like that is the beacon for your kind of path through life, that's also the beacon for other people who are, you know, who would maybe be beneficial to have in your corner. Okay, so for tarot, your first card for this month is the Two of Pentacles. Your second card is the Queen of Cups. Your third card is the Nine of Pentacles. And we'll get you one more. Oh my gosh, amazing. And your fourth card is the Sun. And at the bottom of the deck, haha, we have the Four of Pentacles. Cool. All right, so I'm going to get your clarifiers right away and we'll just read everything together. You guys might be on a journey, like a literal journey. You might be like wanting to go somewhere, or it might be like a spiritual journey, growth, but just like it kind of feels like there's like some change on the horizon for you. Okay, so Two of Pentacles is clarified by the Six of Wands. Queen of Cups is clarified by Death. Everybody's always scared of the Death card, but honestly, I maintain there are no scary cards in the tarot because they all have hope for something better. The Nine of Pentacles is clarified by the Chariot. That's actually the first time I've seen the Chariot come out in this deck, and I've been using it for a while, but I really like that. Okay, so we'll finish off by clarifying the Sun. Sun is clarified by Four of Cups. Okay. Interesting. Okay, let me just take a look at what we're working with here. Wow. Okay. Yeah, and so this is the Nine of Wands here, clarifying the Four of Pentacles. All right. It's kind of interesting because you've got like Pentacles and Wands clarifying each other in both of these positions. So it could have a lot to do with like work and career and stability, like in the material world, and how that either might connect or disconnect from like ultimately your passion, your creativity, enthusiasm, that kind of like spark. So with the Four of Pentacles and the Nine of Wands being at the bottom of the deck, this is an extremely conservative energy. Conservative, not only in a material sense in terms of like money and material goods and like physical abundance, but also conservative in terms of your energy and investment either in your passions or how much room you allow that to take up in your life, how much you allow yourself to share that with other people. Because the Nine of Wands tends to be, it can be a little bit of a defensive card, like needing to have a wall up, needing to have your guard up, perhaps being on a long and tiring journey and taking a moment to look back at where you came from, and not to be too concerned with looking behind you, looking over your shoulder, anticipating that either your past is coming for you or that you'll be sabotaged or met with some form of resistance, but instead focusing your energy on moving forward and the next step, right? So it can be a card of maybe taking a little bit of a rest, feeling as though you're at risk, feeling as though maybe you're not safe to continue moving forward and you need to survey your landscape a little bit more carefully in order to determine the next move. But it's kind of like a strategic calculating move, and it has to do with the things that you're passionate about and your creativity. And because it's the 9, it's also kind of coming to the end of the road in that specific energy. It could be in relation to a specific endeavor. And the 4 of Pentacles is often known as the miser card. So it's like clinging to whatever resources you have very tightly for fear of not having more. And it can also just be being very fiscally responsible, like with your money, with your material goods, saving. But a lot of times it can indicate like a fear of not having enough, a fear of losing any abundance that you do have. And the idea of like it always makes me think of like, you can only lose what you cling to. And the more heavily you cling to your money and your status and your material possessions, the more worried you will be about losing them, and the more power that's going to have over you. And inevitably that's going to impact you, because it's like what you're putting out. If you're living in a lack mindset or a lack mentality and you're inspired by fear, then inevitably putting that out is going to create more. It's going to be reflected back to you, right? And this can also be about learning to come to terms and to be at peace with the material abundance that you have in order to loosen your grip so that your hands can be open and free to receiving more, and you can see more opportunities for abundance to come in. So that's basically like what's underlying and informing the progression for this month. And it's interesting because like on that note, you're being advised to come into the month searching for balance, checking in with yourself and seeing like, in terms of your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, your desires, how can you bring things better into balance and better into alignment for yourself? Right? And like this has to do with the material, right? So the way that we make our money, what we do with our money, it can have to do with our material possessions, our house, our savings and finances, the way that we kind of like take action in the physical world, and our relationship to abundance, and then balancing that out with the world of like the unseen. So any kind of, your mental state, your spiritual beliefs, your connection to spirituality. And it's basically recognizing that, it's always going to be a dance to try and keep those in balance, and we'll inevitably shift from one to the other. But the more that we're in tune with ourselves and our needs, then the more we're able to determine where we need to take action, right? So it's like if the physical kind of stuff is out of balance, then maybe we need to focus on that. And then it's like if our mental and emotional and spiritual side is being neglected, then it's like we need to kind of incorporate more of that. And eventually it becomes a little bit easier, right? And that is connected to the 6 of Wands energy. And the 6 of Wands is a card of victory and success. So it's being able to see and accept and celebrate any kind of success or victory. It can also be receiving attention for something that you have achieved or something you've been able to accomplish in the past. And it can even just be a belief that you are able to achieve what you're looking for, and that, this is also about like people taking notice of you, right? So it can be like being recognized for your accomplishments. So there's a sense that like this flame, this is the 7 of Wands. I don't know why I thought 6. But yeah, so this is the card that's after the victory card, right? So it's basically like claiming your victory and then being able to continue along that path that is unique to you. And so you can see that it's like that victory has fortified you, and the ability to recognize your capability and to celebrate it allows you that kind of foundation that you can build upon and move forward from. And so with victory and with recognition and attention, sometimes we can find ourselves up against conflict, judgment, people kind of poking at us, trying to knock us down. And that's like usually the depiction is like somebody being attacked by a number of wands. That's the typical depiction of the Seven of Wands. So it's a sense of like people see you and they're taking notice because you're doing well and they're coming at you. Sometimes it feels like people come at us or challenge us because we're not doing well, but quite often it's like the opposite. And so the thing is, the most important thing is for you to bring things into balance for yourself in a way that makes sense to you. And that will be related to whatever you're passionate about, and having faith that you are on the right path, and that any negative attention that happens to come your way is just helping to fortify you and following, and emitting your own life and following your own path. Because ultimately, anybody who is coming at you, anything that's challenging you, it's just testing you to stay true to yourself, because you can see that these have fallen to the side and what really matters is this. So it's kind of about lighting your own path. And this is also your truth, your authenticity. That's what you're passionate about. This is what you're being called to do, right? And so it's about recognizing and embracing that energy for yourself, and knowing that like other people or situations that are coming up to challenge you are not telling you that you're on the right track or that you're not doing enough. It's just like fortification for this path that you're trying to kind of move along, right? And that the more that you lean into that and the more that you do it, chances are the more you might struggle or feel as though you're struggling. And your challenge for this month is coming up as the Queen of Cups and the Death card. And so the Queen of Cups is like, this can be, it can be a fear of your emotions, or really like delving into your emotions and your intuitive awareness and all of that kind of stuff that goes on in your subconscious that ultimately impacts how you relate to other people and to the world around you through your emotions. But it's kind of like she's sitting in her emotions, right? And it's like there's a sense of release, there's a sense of freedom, but there's also a sense of power. So it's like there is power in surrender and acceptance, and recognizing that you can experience and acknowledge your emotions and allow them to flow through you without being derailed by them, and without needing to take action on them. Because this is, again, a divine feminine energy, which is, it's a little bit more passive. It's not action oriented. It's not outward focused. It's gentle. It's loving. It's nurturing. And so it's very much allowing yourself to be healed by experiencing and accepting your emotions, instead of feeling as though either they will get the best of you or you have to act on them, right? Because it's like sometimes, especially if there's stuff that we have been suppressing, it just builds up and it kind of throws us off kilter. It makes it more difficult to sustain balance and to follow, our passion and our true north. And it's basically like emotions and suppressing emotions, experiencing and acknowledging and honoring emotions and the value that they have without taking them too seriously could be a major challenge. You might find that you're emotionally triggered a lot this month. And with the Death card coming up, death is almost always about like endings, right? So it can be like a literal death or a loss. It can be about allowing old habits and things that are unhelpful to fall away. It can be a death of a previous version of ourselves, and it being important not to cling to past versions or past identities in order to stunt our growth. So it's like, in order for the next door to open, you kind of have to allow one to close. It's about allowing a chapter to close, allowing yourself to reflect on the experiences that you've had, and recognizing what can't come with you, right? Because, and there can be a sense of grief, there can be a sense of loss, needing to mourn and process whatever it is, because just because it's not good for you doesn't mean, and just because it's not meant to continue along your path with you doesn't mean that it's going to be easy to let go of, right? And it could be anything. It could be a relationship, but is this basically like, this is that old stale stuff that's keeping you stuck. It's the lessons that you've already learned. It's the people that are perhaps not aligned with you or keeping you in a place where you're not able to grow. It can be outdated beliefs. It can be, yeah, feeling as though you need to stay the same in order to appease the people around you. And however that might be coming up with emotions. So it's like whatever ending you're resisting, whatever has ended or is you've outgrown that you're still kind of clinging on to, and the emotions surrounding that could very well be a major theme and challenge this month. And in order to kind of help you manage and overcome this energy, you're being encouraged to really step into your independence and to recognize your strength, right? So this is I've heard a lot of people refer to it as like the single lady card. So it's like, being really stable, really independent, feeling really capable, able to provide for yourself, having a sense of confidence in your ability to manifest abundance and your ability to sustain a certain level of stability and to also enjoy that. So enjoying your abundance, knowing that you've worked hard for what you have. So this can be just appreciating yourself. It can be appreciating all of the hard work that you've done over the years. It could be, whatever you've accomplished, if that's in terms of, education, savings, buying a house, landing a good, stable job, and recognizing that you don't have to spend your whole life slaving to have that stability and abundance if you're not going to enjoy it, because it's like you can't take it with you. So obviously, like, you don't want to be on like one end of the spectrum or the other. You don't want to be a miser, and you don't want to be falling into excess, but it's basically saying like you deserve to reap the rewards of the work that you've done. You deserve to feel confident about the fact that you've done that for yourself, and you also deserve to enjoy it, right? So it's kind of like, if you've worked this hard, are you serving yourself by continuing to just focus on working hard? Because when are you ever going to deserve to enjoy it? When are you ever going to actually connect and acknowledge that abundance and do something just for you, right? And the Chariot is like it's a very like fast moving kind of energy. So it could be travel. Like it could be somewhere that you want to go. It could be like, really focusing on getting to a goal or an end destination really quickly. It is also a very deeply emotional and intuitive energy. It kind of goes nicely with this Queen of Cups. And the sense that I get honestly with this here, it's also like that emotional awareness, working through and accepting those emotions, allowing them to flow through you is really what's going to set you free. And it might end up helping you move a little bit more quickly, even if this Nine of Pentacles is like independence that you're hoping to gain, if you're not quite there yet, or a sense of stability, that you can do it for yourself, right? It's not coming from someone outside of you. You don't have to rely on anyone else. And it's kind of like recognizing your value is going to set you free and allow you to take action in such a way that it might not take as much as you think if you're looking to get to this stable, abundant place for yourself, because maybe what's keeping you from connecting with it is like whatever it is that you're clinging to or resisting, like whatever it is that needs to end. And the Chariot is also about the ability to kind of keep ourselves in balance to stay on track, right? So it's like very much the same kind of energy that we can balance out what we believe to be our positive and negative aspects, and that we're not going to self-sabotage or derail ourselves, whether we're moving quickly or not. It's having the confidence that you have everything that you need to be successful, and that your emotions and your kind of intuitive side is an important and valuable resource for you. While it's not the only one, it's like that might be what's blocking you from moving toward this Nine of Pentacles energy, or like embracing it and allowing yourself to enjoy it a little bit. And I really love this because the highest possible outcome for this month, if you are able to kind of lean into this energy and work through this kind of progression, it's like, it doesn't really get much better than this. Your highest possible outcome, it's just like, it's happiness, it's joy, it's this light energy, freedom, fun, and play. It can be really youthful. It's like the things that make you happy, that unbridled kind of joy in your heart, right? It's like the opposite of this heavy energy, right? And so it's like, if this is what you're looking for, if you're looking to connect with a happier, lighter energy, then perhaps it's just the stuff that you're resisting, kind of either letting go of or allowing yourself to process emotionally, is what's keeping you from connecting with this, because it is a very possible outcome. And yeah, this is like, you know, it's kind of like living your best life, right? And it can also be approaching life with like a childlike joy and enthusiasm. So it doesn't have to be that the circumstances are absolutely perfect for happiness, but it's like the sun is shining on you and you can connect with that joy and happiness in your day-to-day life. And this also kind of gives me the vibe that it could be some childhood wounds that are being healed and released, right? For the Star Mother to be here. And perhaps this is recognizing that you can follow the call of your soul and the things that make sense to you. You can lean into the things that feel most meaningful, because that is an important part of your path and that's what you're meant to do. And maybe by allowing yourself to kind of step into that confident, independent energy is really going to help hammer that reality down, especially if it's something that you doubt is possible for you. Because for it to come up with the Four of Cups, the Four of Cups is often feeling like apathetic, right? And disengaged, and kind of feeling like it's almost like being a little bit jaded or disappointed about opportunities for love or happiness or fulfillment or meaning, because it's like maybe your previous experiences haven't really lent themselves to that experience or that truth. And so it can be really easy to kind of focus on all of the things that we don't have, right? And focusing on all the things that we don't have, or the reasons why we can't have that happiness and abundance, the reason why we can't follow our hearts, and just feel fulfilled, or the things that have happened that have disappointed us in the past, it leaves us in that energy where that's all we're focusing on, and we're not connecting with the opportunity for anything else because we don't even see it, right? So it's like it can be blinded by your bias, blinded by your previous experiences, and like a sense of a loss of hope, so that you don't actually see the opportunity for love and abundance and happiness that's right under your nose. And here it is, right? It's there. So I think that's really lovely for you guys. Sorry if you can hear my baby in the background. She's crying, but she's okay. So we'll get you a couple of affirmations to finish this off. So your first, I trust that my gut reaction is the truth underneath the surface of my fears. Yes, so it's very much about trusting yourself, your internal programming, your intuition, knowing what's right for you. You're the only one that can determine what that is. Nobody else can validate or give that to you. So it's recognizing that gut feeling, those instincts, those physical sensations are trying to tell you something, and not to allow yourself to think your way out of it, or for fear to kind of pull you off track, because there's valuable information for you there. You can follow your heart, essentially. It's like, I'm giving you permission. You just give yourself permission. The key to getting what I want is to ask for it. And that goes hand in hand with this whole thing. It's like recognizing that the key is within you, and if you need support, it's available to you. The Star Mother is about the fact that there's love and support available to you, but yes, it can't just be, it's not just going to be doled out to you, especially from like the spiritual realms. Like there is no interference. Like you have to ask, and you can receive support only when you ask for it, right? So it's recognizing like you deserve love and support too. It's not just for other people. Okay, so we will get you one final oracle card, which I'll read just directly from the book, and we'll see how that might tie things together. So let's see what your final message and insight is. There we go. We've got it. All right. Oh, I actually really love that. So you got a change in the wind. Okay, and I'm going to read this from the book for you. So let's see, a change in the wind. Essential meanings: a sense that unseen change has been initiated, preparation for a storm, awareness that your plans are not on firm ground, feeling a shift, uncertainty about which direction the winds will blow. Yeah, so like I said, it's that feeling of uncertainty. So the message: it's human nature to yearn for certainty and resist change, to want the world to remain consistent like a zebra's stripes. Yet nothing in human experience is black or white, nor will anything remain static. The one thing guaranteed is change. Now is a time of transformation, as outer conditions are temporarily moving out of sync with your desires and expectations. Stay the course and remember that even storms serve to clear the air, scatter seeds, and nourish the soil for better things ahead. Life is about to get interesting. Anticipate it with curiosity as you wonder what is coming in on the shifting winds. The unknown is where the magic lies. There's a relationship message. Relationships go through periods where partners seem out of sync with each other, and stormy emotions and moods threaten to take down the ship. Perhaps someone has a change of heart and leaves. These rough seas offer opportunities for mutual growth, a way for you to understand your own heart better and to know what you need to truly be happy. Rest assured that whatever is happening now, good will come from it. Take temporary shelter and remove yourself from drama. The air will clear and everything will be fresh and new again. This too shall pass. So there may be some kind of like separation in terms of relationship as well. Prosperity message. As you endeavor to create a prosperous life, you may encounter unexpected reversals that cause you to shift directions. This is a good thing, so there is nothing to fear. Perhaps an opportunity you sought went to someone else. Perhaps you've pursued something that you suddenly realize is not in your highest good. You might not be 100% clear on where you need to go, but you are certain that things are not going as planned. Circumstances are not in your control right now. Wait it out. All will be well. Even better, actually. Just trust. And the protection message. There are conditions brewing in your life that you have no control over. Don't fight them. Change is inevitable, and it is for the best, for the higher good. Even if the storm blows away the structures you think you've built your dreams on, all will turn out as it should. You will have a renewed clarity and strength to do something even better. Spirit is your ally. Well, I think that's a really nice note to change it up on here. So it's like, gosh, yeah, you guys always have a lot going on, to be honest with you. But I think this is really nice because it's offering you the opportunity to kind of figure out where you stand, what's important to you, and to feel empowered to potentially make a change, right? So anyways, Pisces, I hope this reading helps you in some way. I hope you enjoy it. If you did enjoy this reading, the best way to support me is to like this video on YouTube or leave me a comment. Beyond that, if there's anyone you could think of that might enjoy these readings or benefit from these readings, you can feel free to share my content. Head on over to my YouTube channel at Bright Soul Collective Tarot. Check out my other readings and make sure you're subscribed and signed up for notifications so you can stay up to date on new videos as they're posted. But yeah, it was an absolute pleasure to read for you. There's a lot going on here, but it all looks really, really positive. So I'm hoping that June is a wonderful month for you. I am very much looking forward to reading for you again next month. Thank you so much for sharing this time and space with me. And until next month, I'm wishing you all the very best.